Hey Tom, Donney, I want to talk about transmissions. I'm in my transmission shop and I kind of forget, I've had an automatic transmission business now for starting our 39th year. We started in fall of 1980 and we've got, I don't know, 2,500 plus transmission cores in here, automatic. I do obviously the little manual trannies for the Saab V4 and two-stroke units. But I thought I'd kind of get a little start here so people can get an idea of how many transmissions we work on. We've got as many as 8 build stations, and we've got about roughly probably 30 to 35 full and part-time employees right now. But inside this transmission business, almost every automatic transmission has what's called a Sprag or a roller clutch. And that becomes important in that here's a roller clutch on the bottom of a 350 turbo 700R4 4L60E. Same thing right here. The Saab freewheeling, which is just the neatest feature ever in a car, right? So many guys are disabling the freewheeling out of their car, and some are disabling it forever, which is really unfortunate. But here's another Sprag right here, and it wouldn't matter where or one-way clutch, wouldn't matter where I walk in the shop. I'm going to find one-way clutches everywhere I look because that's what automatic transmissions are chock full of. So I'm going to come into the Saab parts aisle, and I've kind of modified this. Here's a few thrust washers and stuff. But anyway, once I come here, I want to look at the freewheel assembly on the Saab and what we're trying to do to save some of these. And before I forget it, we do have new linkage seals made for the column shift cars. And what's important about the linkage seal, it keeps water out of your transmission because this shaft, those covers right there, they run at an angle, and on the bullnose, they're right underneath the radiator, so you get water drip out if the little shield's not in place, the little heat shield on the radiator. The water drips right on those shafts or rain, and it'll run right in your manual transmission. So it's really important you have a good linkage seal on your column shift cars. And actually the early bullnose cars did not even have a groove for it, so didn't even use them, and I think they found out that was a big problem. The other thing we've got are brand new synchronizer rings. We've made a whole pot full of synchronizer rings, so we've got those for both first gear and then the second, third, and fourth, and those are available. But the Sprags, or we call it the one-way clutch. This is a early design right here. This is the 6-roller type. And if you're like me, I go to my drawer of rollers and start digging around, and all my rollers are rusty and worn. And if you mic them, there'll be a couple thousandths in wear. So it's problematic. And then Saab used this design with springs. This is a V4 that has 10 rollers in it. And in the transmission world, more elements mean more strength. So there's some new packages from modern automatics. And in the Saab world, most of the guys take the 10 roller out of the V4 and put in the 6 roller. And I think the biggest reason why is the springs are better in the 6 roller setup, because you can see how tiny these springs are in the V4. And that's actually 2 springs right there, believe it or not. And these things are itty bitty. There's one single spring, but they are so tiny. There's a ballpoint pinhead to get an idea. There's just no pressure on them. And these require pressure to engage the rollers. And like I said, the rollers are all worn. Here's a Chrysler setup, and you can buy these for any automatic transmission. You can buy an accordion spring, these are called, and roller set to upgrade or to repair. And we do that when we fix the automatics. We put in new components. So what I've done, I've made 2,500 rollers for the late 10 and 2,500 for the early 6. So I've got about 5 lifetime supplies worth of parts here. I've got over 1,000 synchro rings, made all kinds of parts for these silly rascals. And so what I'm doing, I'm making a kit now. So that's a kit we're putting out for the 6 roller. And there's the 10 roller. Here's the new 6 rollers in the bag. So at minimum, you could put in brand new rollers, get away from the rust and all the wear you have on the ones you've got now, and hopefully avoid welding. You see some guys will weld that freewheel assembly in there, and that's just I don't know, to me it's a barbaric way to do it. I guess if you're all out racing, maybe that's okay. here's one someone did, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me, right? Do you suppose that's in alignment? I don't think so. You know, because as you weld a part, it will change. It'll flex, and that's a really common thing. We rebuild torque converters in house, and we put the hub on a torque converter. You know, it's critical that we put tack welds in the perfect spot, and then we got to weld in a certain sequence in order to keep the hub on straight, to keep our covers from welding straight. So when you see a guy welding on a shaft and stuff, you know what? I hate to tell you, it ain't straight no more. And that's a long piece of metal to be out around. Anyway, and that's non-reversible. A lot of the guys use sleeves. I think the sleeves are a good way to go because you can take that sleeve out and then you can revert it back if you want to. But regardless, I've got these new rollers in stock. We've got the kits available. I'm still working on how to handle the 10 roller with new springs because we got to get rid of these little guys. I know some guys say, well, if you take that spring and put it inside there, it'll help beef it up. I even thought that too till I did a compressed test, which is how you test springs anyway. And this actually compresses down really before it even gets to that extra spring that you put in there. So it's just a kind of a weird design. I don't know why Saab used this. Maybe this is some real advanced aircraft roller clutch. But I'll guarantee you what, I've never seen it in an automatic transmission, and I've been doing this since 1977. I've never ever seen a Sprague or a roller clutch like this. It would appear to be a very poor design. Maybe it was great in 1950, but it sure as hell ain't great today. Nobody uses it. Everyone uses what we call accordion springs. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So in your kit, you're going to get new accordion springs and new rollers. And I've made this upgrade. Obviously, I got a lot of Saabs. I got quite a few old two-strokes that slip. You'll pop the clutch on them, take it off in low gear, and all of a sudden it just spins like it's in the engine revs up, and it's like it's in neutral. You have to turn the key off, restart the car, then away it goes. That's your one-way clutch slipping. Very common on the two-strokes. I would dare say almost every two-stroke out there will do it if you hit it just right, if you pop the clutch enough. Most of the time we don't pop the clutch, so it's not a problem. But this is a good way to fix it. I've done it on 2 of my cars so far that were terrible slippers. Both work like a champ. Again, this is upgrading to a modern accordion spring like what we're using in modern transmissions today. It gets you new rollers that are the right size and not all rusty. So keep me in mind for your Vintage Saab parts. Like I said, we're making more parts every month. We try to bring something else online. So keep us in mind. And the kits are very affordable, and it's a good way for you V4 guys to maybe keep your Freewheel alive and use it. And the other thing is when you drive your Freewheel, you know, ease into the gas after you've been freewheeling. Don't just hammer that gas pedal and make it engage hard. When you do that, you cause the Sprag, the rollers, to dig into the surface here. And I get calls all the time, guys got with tranny apart and it's all beat up in here, and they want to know why. Well, it's from people hammering the throttle back out of Freewheel. So when you come back on, when you're freewheeling, go gentle on the gas, let it re-engage, and then go ahead and go the rest of the way with your pedal. That'll give you a little bit better transmission life too. So that's all I got for today. This is Tom Donney from Transmission Shop in Fort Dodge, Iowa, signing off.